We are here inside of Workuity on 24th Street in Camelback, one of Arizona's finest professional co-working office space. I have with me Karen Pierce, who is going to be our special guest. She's a professional coach on this episode of the Turntable, where we have 3 to 5 minutes to turn and burn and share with you tips that can help you improve your life. And today's topic is dealing in dollars, not divorce. And Karen is a professional coach who works with couples and professionals on dealing with dollars and avoiding divorce. Karen, tell me about what we've got going on right here.
Well, people who are successful want to be successful at work and at home. And usually with that stress comes additional trauma. So I'm usually working with people who are thinking they might be getting divorced or already divorced. And most people do know the statistics that the number 2 cause of divorce is financial stress.
What's the number 1?
Infidelity.
I always thought it was
infidelity, but they're both very emotional issues.
Yeah.
In fact, the number 1 indicator that you're most likely to be divorced is if you are arguing about money, especially early on in your relationship.
Okay. So if I'm watching this video right now and I've got relationship problems, my spouse is maybe there's issues going on. This is the Facebook Live episode that you want to watch. This is the Turntable episode you want to watch, because I've got some pointers here that you were sharing on how to help couples save those relationships, maybe bring joy back into the relationship, and it revolves around really, I guess, looks like how they're handling money and how they're talking with each other.
Yep. Something
along those lines. So what got you into this? How did you get started with coaching, or how did you end up working with couples?
I got started working with coaching based off of an idea to give back. One of the things that I had been asked most often in my life, and especially in the last 10 years, given the fact that my husband's a professional, I'm a professional, we've moved more than 20 times in 36 years of marriage, and 10 of those were overseas, so we've been bopping back and forth a lot. The stresses and the tension and the career changes and all of the things that go into it were a lot, but we somehow, either by accident and by intention, figured out some ways.
So it wasn't like smooth sailing the whole way. There was ups and downs.
I would be lying if it was just happily ever after we said I do, right?
Okay.
But the important point for us was that we had figured out some things that we had committed to ourselves. And one of them was really interesting. When we were going through our pre-marriage counseling through the church that we were getting married at, they required us to go to different couples. And each couple took a different subject. Well, the finances one was the most interesting and the most memorable, because when they sat us down, they said, well, how much are you going to allow each other to spend? And I'm going, here, I'm trying to be an engineer in 1981. I'm going, I'm going to be allowed to spend money, right?
You get your allowance.
I'm just going, whoa. But it was an incredible question, because it really made the mind shift between I'm a single person, my to-be husband is a single person, we're just going to live together with benefits. Mm-hmm. No, there's a reason you get together, and it's because you're better together than you are separately.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so when we looked at that, it was, okay, now we're pooling our money. It's not just my money, your money. It's together. How are we going to build a life together with the resources that we have?
Okay, so I have to ask, how much was he allowed to spend?
Well, they let us come up with that number, and for us it was $25.
$25?
$25, because we were college kids.
A week or a day or a month or?
At any one time.
Okay.
At any one time. So we were just
So if I was
getting out
playing
of
the slot
school.
machine, it was a $20 slot, I could just keep doing $20?
That was the idea. It wasn't the intent, but that was the idea, is that aside from the grocery store.
And I don't promote gambling. We teach financial wellness, so I just...
Perfect.
Yeah.
But, aside from the grocery store, if I wanted to buy something or he wanted to buy something that was $25 or more, we had to talk with the other one first.
Okay.
And it did 2 things. It stopped us from being emotional and sporadic about our spending money.
Mm-hmm.
But it also
put some sense of like there's rules there, so you know that you're not gonna.
It required communication. It wasn't just I have a budget, I can go up to spend this much amount of money per month. It's just my fun money. It was every time I'm thinking of spending that amount of money, I need to talk to my spouse, which gave an incredible opportunity to learn why that was important.
Right.
Why? What was so interesting about that thing or that event or whatever it was, and what was going on in their head that caused that buying spree. And that's the thing that we don't get. We talked about infidelity being the number one cause. Well, that's a very emotional thing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Finances, money, and spending are just as
Worse yet,
emotional.
if you catch them cheating on you and spending your money.
Hey, that's true.
Done deal.
Or spending your money on the girlfriend. Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure that's not good. Hey, where's your girlfriend? Okay.
Just think, retail therapy. Why do we call it retail therapy? It's to make us feel good for something bad that's happened.
Is that shopping?
That's shopping.
After something bad? Okay, retail therapy.
It's a very...
I'm learning some good terms here today.
No,
It was just retail therapy.
That's not a good plan, but a lot of people do it because
You sure it's not retail revenge, bastard? You swipe the card, $300 later.
Now
you're going to deal with it.
If none of your money is pooled together,
Right.
then it's your money too. Right?
Okay, yep, that makes sense. Okay, so we're talking about relationships and how you work with couples. You help them if they're dealing with money. You had mentioned that there's several factors that relate and ways to improve the relationship. What I'm hearing right now is one of them is you said kind of create a decision or an agreement on how much you can spend. I also heard you like pooling money. Is that part of it, or?
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of not having separate checking accounts or bank accounts. That everything is together,
okay.
And you figure out your budget and contribute equally, because it's not a matter of you spending more money or you having more money than me. That sets up a lot of friction and a lot of power struggles.
Okay.
So put money together, figure out what you have to spend.
Is there
basics.
resistance to that, either on the husband side or the wife side when you hear that with couples, or are they mostly open to that?
Oftentimes there is, and it's usually got to do for the emotional reason of what money means.
Okay.
For some it's security, for some it is power, for some it is just plain love. If I spend money on you, that means I love you, that's the way I show love, or that's the way I've been trained about it from my home.
I read a book or something like that, The Color of Love, or Your Color, or something. I forget what it was.
Love languages.
Love languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. I was surprised that some people find that money being spent on them is how you show love, where others, it's the work that they're doing for you. If they clean the house or wash your car or I don't know, do something nice for you, that means they love you. But the other person might be, I don't want you to do that. I want you to buy me stuff.
Yep.
Or the other way around, they're buying stuff. So I guess you get into that too.
Yeah.
I'm sure you study. Okay.
Yeah, because oftentimes we don't really think about what ticks us off.
Yeah.
About how somebody else in our life is spending our money or risking our future. It's all a way of how you perceive it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, we run financial training boot camps, and we have couples in there all the time having spirited conversations about money. It's probably the first time they're talking about it in a long time, and topics come up. Why does he get to spend money on that? Why does she get to spend money on that? Why can't she spend money on this when he spends money on that? And it goes back and forth. But I think probably communication is part of that. You're going to have to talk about it, I guess, or you've got if you're not talking, I guess you're in trouble. I don't know.
Yeah, you might as well.
So I'm trying to wrap this up. So one is you're saying decide how much we can spend each week or on occurrence, and then number two is pool our resources, pool the money together. That's going to create some harmony. What's the next tip, or what else do we need to know?
You need to check in with each other every week on just that subject. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be a long discussion, but this is where the emotions build up. That I feel like I'm falling behind, or you're not doing enough, or you're spending too much, or we're not together.
Okay.
I mean, the whole idea with really being financially secure in a marriage has to do with the communication part. So if you can set aside some time every week, it doesn't have to be long, 10 to 15 minutes, and go over what the expenditures were. Where are we? Are we on track? Have we had to go over? Is there something coming up next week? We'll do an immense amount for how smoothly things go, not just in the financial area, but in a lot of the other areas of your marriage.
Absolutely. It sounds like you're keeping relationships together, and you're definitely getting the right ideas across for these couples. I mean, I can imagine not talking about money, spending money on our own without talking to each other, however much I want at any time, and it's my money and you can keep yours. That's probably not going to be a good formula.
Let me give you one good
That's kind of like the
motivator.
opposite of what you're saying. And
Let me give you one good motivator to actually do this. We talk about, if the issues with money are the biggest factor about whether you're headed toward divorce or not. Right now, in Southern California, a divorce is usually 3+ years of litigation and at least $125,000 on each side to get it settled. And that doesn't even take into account the fact that you're splitting up the remaining resources and trying to start over.
yeah,
So there's a financial incentive to make what you're doing work.
I heard that at Zig Ziglar conference, he said that marriage is grand, divorce $100,000. And
cheap.
That's what I say when I tell that in every joke.
Yep.
I tell the guys in my workshops, cheaper to keep her. I don't know if that's a bad thing to say or not, but for the women, same thing. Relationships, why not stick it together? Work it out. I think it's always good to have the conversations, to get talking. You came together for a reason. Don't break the relationship up over money. Money and issues come and go. At least I found that. And if you can stay the course, you guys can work through it. Like you said, it was bumpy sailing all along, and it's the communication and coming back together and working with each other.
Yeah.
It sounds like, Karen, you've got a great program. We're not here to learn everything about today. We just wanted to get the basics. I'm convinced that you would be able to help relationship. I wish I'd met you a little while back with my last relationship. Now, what I want to know is, where does anyone who's watching this go if they're interested in getting more information? Do you have like a book or any sort of information that we can get? A website, something you want to share with us?
Yes, I've got a book coming out here in October called It's My Time. It's largely written to women, but I've sent it to a number of men who are really excited about it as well. And it's about work-life balance and discusses a lot of things for how to really put marriage and work together.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. This was another episode of The Turntable. This is Scott McLaine. We will see you on the other side.